Welcome to the final, I believe, sharing socks of calendar year 2022. I am Southside Sox duty geezer Leigh Allan, wearing, because of the Chicago weather, a knit Sox hat. With me, my son and West Coast correspondent Will, showing off wearing a regular Sox hat because it's probably 80 degrees in Los Angeles.
Not quite, not quite.
It's 20, I think, in Chicago.
All right, we've
Uh,
got you beat. We've got you beat.
We have actual news this week. The White Sox did something in free agency. I
That's the
like
way
it.
to describe it. That's the way to
I mean,
describe it.
I like it. I'm amazed that it is the biggest White Sox free agent purchase of all time. Although, if you adjust for inflation, I guess it isn't. But still, $75 million, 5 years for Andrew Benintendi. When they first came out with the free agent lists, here's you got, and you're going, well, yeah, let's for the outfield slot, let's get Judge. You knew that wasn't going to happen. You knew what they were going to get anymore. And you looked at the rest of them, you go, Benintendi kind of fit in here. He's a good fielder, left-handed hitter. Uh, He'd be pretty good. I didn't think of him at 75 million, but I thought, once you get past that first year, we desperate for outfielders, not a bad choice. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, my lack of interest in Benintendi um, is a little more like personality based. I've never liked Benintendi. In fact, I've always disliked him. I used to hang out with someone who played with him in high school, and they hated him. So I've always had sort of an anti-Andrew Benintendi thing. He was one of the people I wanted the least in this free agency. That being said, all right, sure. He's okay. He is certainly a better outfielder than any of our other options. Uh, it's weird that he's the highest White Sox contract ever, which has nothing
That
to
is,
do with him. It just has to do with the fact that we've never spent money on a guy
yeah.
before. I mean, Yasmani being the previous highest contract. Uh, I'm not saying that didn't work out, but I'm just saying let's
Well, it
hope
worked
it
out for a
works out a
year.
little bit. Yeah. Uh, Benintendi is good. The ceiling for me is very low.
No, I agree. It's not a high ceiling, but it is a high floor.
But the
I,
floor is also high. Well, it's kind of high. I don't know. I could see Benintendi turning into an AJ Pollock 2.0. I certainly don't think we're going to get 5 good years out of him. I really don't. And I realize that the name of the game in free agency this year is sign a guy forever and see how many years you get out of him. Um, 5 year deals don't really work that
although,
way.
though, for the White Sox, the one of the reasons for the huge deals being the way they are, 13 and 14 years and other silliness, is simply to beat the luxury tax. The White
Yeah.
Sox are not remotely in range of even the lowest tier of the luxury tax. It is not going to happen. So stretching things out is they they're not taking it 14 years in order to get the average per year down to 20 million or whatever, so they fit
Right.
under the tax. Yeah, it seems a trifle, but I'm just glad we have an outfielder. It's just we need more. I mean,
Yeah, that's the only problem. We for the White Sox, we spent big on Andrew Benintendi. Well, we got to spend again, and
uh,
I
we lost essentially three outfielders
three guys who
because of
can stand in the
Pollock
outfield.
and
Yes,
Engel, and then Vaughn just stood in the outfield, but he was playing the outfield position. We lost three. Let's say we lost three people who played in the outfield, uh, and we need two more. I mean, you got to have four guys out there, not necessarily at a time, like softball, but you got to have four guys out there. Even if Colas represents one of those, and I still think 31 at bats in AAA, he's not going to be ready for opening day. They'll just be throwing him to the wolves. Plus, there's service time manipulation that they want to do anyway. So somebody else is going to play right field for a couple months, or at least a month, maybe two. Uh, could be Leigh. Could be God help us, it could be Sheets again.
I mean, I don't know who it would be if it's not one of those two.
So
You
they have to get another outfielder somewhere. It doesn't have it can be a fourth outfielder type, a defensive out. Who'd be really, you look at the list of free agents, who's ideal for that fourth outfielder, really good defense. There's a guy named Engel.
yeah, well, he's free. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a chance he will just end up back on the White Sox at this point, just because we need bodies to be out there, and in case someone gets hurt, and we're hurt all the time. So, as soon as Luis Robert gets hurt, which it seems like he will,
He has played fewer than half the games in the last 2 years at center field.
and he's
And
young. He's
yeah,
young and in elite physical condition. It'll be interesting to see if the 2023 White Sox have the same injury problems with the new coaching staff with the coaching staff who is, I would think, a bit more aware of
a
what's going on.
new training staff.
New training staff. I would think they would come in wanting to not be an embarrassment like they were in the last season, in terms of every guy just leaving at some point because he walked to first base and got hurt. Uh, I'll be very interested to see how much that shifts, and it's going to be crucial because we can't have another year of Luis Robert playing 75 games. We can't. We cannot. We are not a World Series contender if Luis Robert is only playing 75 games.
I would
It's
say right now
just a
we're not a
fact.
World Series contender, but we're not
Right.
even a win one round of the playoffs contender.
But we
And
have guys who can play. We have guys who should be very good. We can't keep them on the field. Last year we could not keep anyone on the field. Our season, again, just like last year, is
but
going
you're
to
wrong.
depend.
We kept Leary on the field.
True, but that was just because he's so good and we love him. That's all that was about. We can't keep these guys on the field, and the bottom line is next year, 2023 season, if Luis Roberts out there for 75 games and Eloy's only out there for 75 and TA's only out there for 75, you're not going to win anything. You're not going to win the AL Central. You're probably not going to be the runner up in the AL Central. So I'm very hesitantly hopeful that things will be different in terms of keeping guys on the field. Because you take Luis Robert out of that, even with Benintendi, who is a good left fielder, a very, very good left fielder. If you take Luis Robert out for injury, you got a solid left fielder and then nothing.
That's
And
right.
if this were slow pitch softball, it's not a terrible place to be, because your left fielder's got to be your best fly ball catcher. But it's not, unfortunately. It's Major League Baseball. They're going to hit it all over the place. So injuries are going to be so key. Benintendi, to me, maybe I'll coin this phrase right here and now: Band-Aid Tendy. He feels like a little bit of a Band-Aid over a wound that is gushing. That being said, it's better to have the Band-Aid than nothing. But I'm not particularly excited. And also, I'm not trying to bring the political stuff into it, but you're going into a clubhouse that's already not getting along, and you're bringing in a dude who just, by all calculations, is a massive douchebag. And I'm not saying it's going to be harmful, because he's certainly going to have guys that agree with him in there. But I'm just saying, he's not Trevor Bauer, but he's like the one step down from Trevor Bauer in terms of clubhouse dynamic. And obviously, I think our boy Dylan's going to like him a lot. But I think he's not going to gel with Tim Anderson from the get go. Again, with Pedro Grifol, let's hope he can manage this. A baseball team should be able to be a baseball team without politics being involved at all, without any sort of
And politics, both in the sense of government politics, but just politics in the very general sense of
Correct.
clubhouse politics, our clique and your clique and whatever.
Correct. I'm more so talking about the latter, the clubhouse politics, that nowadays are influenced a little bit by the government politics thing. Ideally, we have a manager now, and I am actually, I've said this before, giving him the benefit of the doubt that he will be better for this. Ideally, we have a manager that is going to come in and make it a more cohesive unit of 26 guys, because we have not had that for 2 years, not even close. And as we said, remember, we're watching this team in 2020 during the short season. uh it was exciting to watch the White Sox play. Even in empty stadiums, they were so fun to watch because they were having so much fun under Rick Renneria, who I know is not the best manager in the world, but he let the guys beat the guys and he let them play. And they had a ton of fun. And because of that, it was really fun for us to watch. It was a really fun season to watch until they blew it in the playoffs, but it was, a year earlier than we expected them to be good. Uh, we got to hope
Well, and
that
they really only made the playoffs because
because it was
everybody
fake,
made the
fake
playoffs,
playoffs.
and
Yeah,
they only played Central Division teams, which is
correct.
kind of like playing
Um,
high schools.
Last time that it was really fun to watch them. I'm hoping Pedro Grifol can come in, get us back to sort of that clubhouse feel, because without that, you just don't win games if you're not having fun in Major League Baseball as a team. You don't win those games. Like, if you look at the teams that make it far in the playoffs, they're having a great time. They're loving their teammates. They're loving the experience. They're loving the energy from the fans. It's just fun. You see a bunch of grown men getting paid millions of dollars to play a kid's game, and they know it and they love it. And that is what we need back to the White Sox more than anything. First and foremost, we need to see our guys acting like they're having fun again. And the easiest way to do that is for them to have fun again. So let's just hope
Of course,
that.
the one player this past season who would look like he was really having a lot of fun, they don't. So, uh,
Right, of course. I mean, more than that, really, because Elvis Andrews came in, immediately looked
oh,
like
it's
he was
true.
having fun as well. He
Dumped him
was
too.
yeah, dumped him too. We legitimately dumped the two guys that gave this team any form of life in 2022 whatsoever. And I'm not saying that you got to keep guys because of their intangibles. I know that that is an argument I will never, ever, ever, ever win and shouldn't win, because it is a business first and foremost. It's an entertainment business more than anything. That's what baseball is. And you can't just keep guys because you like them and they're fun. You got to try to win to make money. But I don't see Benintendi being the guy who comes in and unites the divided troops. Um, that being said, let's take our break here. Come back, talk a little bit about
What
the outlook
else?
on 2023. Some other moves were made in the league that affect us because we will be playing against them. Um, and I, then we'll wrap it up for this year. So hang in there. We'll be right back on Sharing Socks. Welcome back to Sharing Socks. We talked about the Andrew Benintendi situation, which I'm just so excited I'm going to get rich and famous for that. Twins rival made some moves.
Well, they got Joey Gallo, which doesn't exactly strike fear in our hearts, I don't think. He'll hit a lot of home runs.
Honestly, they got Gallo on the only kind of contract where I would ever want Gallo. So I think they did a good job with this. It's 1 year, it's only 11 million. I mean, if you get 25, 30 home runs out of a guy for 11 million, that's not bad. I mean, the White Sox would have signed him to, 7 years, 285 million. If we had really gone for Gallo, we would have had our biggest contract ever, but it would have been a horrible mistake. Um, yeah, it doesn't strike fear in me at all that the Twins got Gallo. That being said, kudos to them for not just sitting back and doing nothing like we have for most of this.
Well, of course, they've lost Correa, which is a huge kind of hole for them to fill. They're still in on Swanson, theoretically. I find it very hard to imagine that they'll actually get him. Although I'll say on Benintendi, when I was looking at, what are the White Sox in on, never mentioned. Never, ever, ever. Yankees even, and the Mets were mentioned. Red Sox, never the White Sox. So that came out of nowhere. So the same thing could happen with
Well,
Minnesota.
they were
Some
looking
other
for a
thing.
team. That agent was like, there's got to be a sucker out there somewhere. And they're like, let's hold out for 575. Oh, the White Sox. Yeah, we'll do it.
I still think the most improved team is Cleveland because of Josh Bell. Uh, they also took a step up. Zunino, though he hits about, I don't know, 085 or something, everything he hits goes 450. It's kind of Joey Gallo, but really, really good defensive catcher in the process.
Yeah.
So they've improved a pretty fair amount. White Sox have only improved in the sense that they were horrible, but still, it's an improvement. Benintendi is better than having Andrew Vaughn out in left field. Andrew
Yeah.
Vaughn is not
Better
better
than
than having,
Pollock.
but
Yeah.
still, the White Sox are down. They're down to Breu and Harrison and Cueto. And I hope Clevinger is going to turn out to be another Cueto. I doubt it. I think it's going to be a step down, a large one from Cueto to Clevinger. There's still room to go. Now, they talk about not raising the payroll, but with Jose and Pollock, I got to remember Dallas Keuchel, 18 million, I think it was,
Yeah.
for last year. And then you add in Harrison and Cueto, that's like 54, 55 million before you get to the little guys that got dumped like Engel and Ruiz. So they have a lot of room to go because what they've added in, 8, I guess you call it 8 for this year. I mean, even if you want to call it 11 for Clevenger, plus 15 on the year for Benintendi. Incidentally, we'll have the longest name on any White Sox uniform. I thought of that. Till Colson Montgomery comes up, he's the only 10-letter guy we got.
Currently. Yeah. We've had
Yeah.
longer in the past, right?
Oh, yeah. No, but I'm saying right now, he's, I don't think we have anybody over 8. So that's a big jump.
Oh, wow. Yeah. If you're looking for letter jersey value as you shop this Christmas, Benintendi gets you the most letters for the same price.
But so that leaves without raising the payroll at all, and giving some room for arbitration raises for Cease and Giolito. You still got about 25 million to play with. You could actually get Dansby Swanson and move him over to second and have a hell of a baseball team.
You absolutely could. I mean, the way the shortstop contracts have gone, I think you could definitely get Swanson at 25 million for next year. There's no doubt in my mind. Maybe even a little less than that. Uh, just because of what the other guys have demanded, and Swanson's going to be below those guys. And I think he will be considerably below those guys. Not as below those guys as maybe he should be, but I do think that the White Sox could absolutely get him. Now, they would have to do something they've never done,
No,
which is commit
yeah,
to a
yeah. The
long-term
problem is it's the
contract.
White Sox, so we have to throw out that theory. They have to get a second baseman. Gene Segura, to me, I mean, he's the top one out there on the free agent market right now. He's like a little baby step up from Josh Harrison. If that's where you were going, you should have kept Josh.
If that, I mean, I think they're very interchangeable players. I like both of them a lot. That's not hating on either of them. I actually like both players a lot.
They're both good defensively and
yeah,
decent, just decent offensive.
they're very comparable actually. They're both good defensive players. They both have like a weird week once a year where they can't catch anything. And then they get back to being really good all of a sudden, which we saw from Josh this year and from Dean Segura.
In September,
yeah. I mean we haven't even talked about second base until right now. Who plays it? Who's there? Who? I mean, if we're not going to sign Swanson,
for the trade that they should have made was Colton Wong. They should have worked something with Milwaukee to get Colton Wong. Milwaukee
ship has sailed. Yeah,
did not demand that much. It would have gone. But now you're going to presumably trade. Frazier's gone. That was the next
Yep.
second baseman, and the only advantage there is that he's a left-handed hitter.
Yeah.
I think he's a step down from Segura and Harrison, really. Uh, at least he not in the past, but currently.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's regressed a little bit. Doesn't mean he can't come back and have a better year, but yeah,
but he's gone. So
he's gone. Doesn't matter. Yeah.
uh, so you still got an outfielder to go and a second baseman to go. You can just kind of smell him thinking Benintendi. See, we spent the big bucks, so we'll go with Aline Sosa and hang on for dear life. I don't even what they're going to do. They've got Peyton on a minor league.
Well, I'm going to tell you a little nugget I heard. This is not based on anything other than Twitter rumors, I think, but horribly, a friend of mine just texted me that the White Sox are somewhat linked to possibly signing Justin Turner, which can't possibly be true. He's going to be 39 this season,
And he's only a third baseman.
and he's only a third baseman, right-handed. It can't be true.
No,
The only way it would be
no, Tina
possible,
Turner, okay, but not Justin.
if you move Moncada to second and
Oh
put
my
Turner
God.
at third, but then you have another guy who is essentially just a DH. Uh, it can't be true. It can't be true.
No.
There's no way,
Yeah,
right?
the people who have so many middle infielders, I have no idea what they're going to do them all. It is the Padres.
Yeah, they're loaded.
And they could, I mean, what do the White Sox have to trade? The only thing the White Sox have to trade is relief pitchers. Um, but I can see them being interested, certainly in Hendricks and maybe in Graveman.
Would you right now, and this is just obviously hypothetical, I'm not a general manager, would you trade Liam Hendricks, Kendall Graveman, and Oscar Colas for Fernando Tatis Jr.?
Who can't play until May, June, something.
Yeah, May, I think. Something like that.
And what's he got, a
But
14-year contract?
he's under, you'd have him for a while. And we do have to keep in mind, people forget about Fernando Tatis because of this steroid thing. He's coming back, and he is one of the best players in the game.
And of course he has White Sox history.
He does.
Not nice history, not good history, but
hey, I bet we could even sign. Who did we get in that deal? Was that Shields?
Yeah.
It was. I was like, it's
Shields or Samardzija. They're
exactly. I was like, it's Shields or Samardzija. It's one of the two guys we should never have gone for and gave up something huge for. I don't know. The Padres have too many guys. They have too many guys to put out there. They're spending so much money. I would be intrigued at the possibility of trading for Fernando Tatis Jr. Now, not necessarily the answer for like a huge shortstop upgrade. He makes a lot of mistakes at shortstop, but move TA to second, Fernando, who's younger, at short, Moncada at third. You got Andrew Vaughn at first. That's a pretty sexy infield. Now, I would prefer to sign Dansby Swanson, but it's just never going to happen. And neither will this Tatis.
Tatis isn't going to happen either because they're not going to
No.
pay that salary. The one I was thinking of, and I don't think I'm not sure San Diego would ever let go, is Cronenworth.
Yeah, I mean Cronenworth is certainly a lot cheaper. They don't really know exactly what they're going to do with him. He's a Gold Glover. I would be very, very interested in Cronenworth.
And I definitely give up Hendricks. And if they want something more, I would give something more with Hendricks. I don't know about Colas because then we're back to the problem.
That's too big.
We don't have any outfielders.
That's too big.
But certainly you could go into just the next tier of the minors or even Garrett Crochet.
Yeah.
I think I'd go Crochet and Hendricks to get Cronenworth for sure.
I love Liam Hendricks.
Oh,
We
I
both love
love
Liam
watching him.
Hendricks.
He's and you
Um,
talk about, I mean, we were just talking about, boy, these guys don't look like they're ever having fun. His is a strange Australian kind of fun, but
yeah,
he's having fun. He
he
is
is.
enjoying the game of baseball and enjoying trying to be really, really good at it.
Yep, agreed. I think with Hendricks, I think you absolutely try to move him to fill that second base spot. You have to. And here's my number one reason for this. It's this crazy theory I have of you don't need a rock star closer if you're never ahead late in games.
That's true.
And I think if you are a team in the White Sox position that cannot get ahead late in games, you need to focus on getting ahead late in games before you pay big bucks for your closer. It doesn't make sense to say we're going to keep this guy who we're going to bring in once every 4 games when we have a close lead late in the day. No, we need a second baseman who can go out there and help get us leads late in the game. So that then I would love for us at the deadline to need a closer. I would love it. It would be such a nice thing to be like, okay, we're buyers at the deadline. We need a closer. As of right now, I don't think we need Liam Hendricks. I think Kendall Graveman can easily step into that
Well,
spot,
or Raylo. I mean,
or
Raylo.
Raylo. But Graveman, being more traditional relief pitcher, I like Graveman a lot. I like Raylo a lot. I think those are both good options. I think right now Hendricks is high. I would be nervous to get into the season with him and see him lose some of that value. Right now, not to say he would, he could come out and gain value, but he is older and he does go in sort of waves at times. So I would try to unload Liam Hendricks and another piece here or there to try to fill that second base gap because right now, we're obviously not going to sign Josh Harrison. We're obviously not going for Elvis Andrews. So we need to go for something legit here. We can't just throw Leary out there. We can't have it be Lenny and Sosa. Again, not to say that Sosa's not going to be a good major league ball player someday, but right now,
Someday is
not
the key.
even close. Not even close. And Colas, yes, I've heard from sources that he is definitely going to be on the major league roster at some point this year, but
Oh yeah.
you can't just bank on him coming in and just kicking butt with only 31 AAA at bats.
No, I
Uh,
think you can go cheap on another outfielder on the theory that Colas is going to
yes,
be the man by midsummer. No later than midsummer, Colas is going to be the man. And you don't want a multi-year contract with the guy. I mean, that's unfair
right.
to the guy, let alone wasting money from the point of view of the team.
Yeah,
Uh, you bring him in, he knows he's a stopgap to Colas, and then he's your fourth outfielder. You want somebody who's good on defense. I mean, frankly, if you
it's
look out there,
Angle.
it's Adam Engel. And I know he had a terrible 2022, but if you we're doing a lot of guys who had bad years, and so we pick them up from years before. 2020, 2021, he's exactly what you are looking for right now.
He was just hurt all the time under this joke of a training staff that the White Sox had last year. Maybe if you get Adam Engel with a new training staff, he has a better year. He can stay on the field. He's going to be really cheap. So I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I don't. And I've always liked Adam Engel as a ball
Well,
player.
we've been in the park when he's gone leaping over the fence and stolen home runs.
Multiple times. Multiple
Yeah.
times. That is about all the time we have for our final episode of 2023. Do you have any final thoughts before we?
Hey, happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa. Whatever
All of
else
it.
you
All
got
the
going
good
on out
stuff.
there. Is Tet going on? I don't know.
Yeah, enjoy the holidays. Be safe, as my high school algebra teacher used to say. Make smart, safe decisions. I heed that advice most of the time. I suggest you do as well. Looking forward to 2023. I know we gripe a lot on this podcast, but that's what podcasts are for. They serve no other purpose in this world. So we are happy to come gripe with you. We're happy you come and listen to us gripe. And I'm positive about 2023. New manager, new ball club, new left fielder. Whether I like them or not, we got some changes going on that I think could make the White Sox exciting to watch in 2023. Yeah, let's do it. Thanks for listening. Thanks for spending the year with us. And we will see you next year on Sharing Sox.